What up, world? It's your guy, axisALiVE, joined by a special guest tonight. We'll be getting to him in a minute. Just got off a private call with the axisALiVE.com members who went through an hour and a half plus of TA. My brain is tired, but they got a lot of value out of it, so everyone's happy. On top of that, the axisALiVE price chart is doing amazingly well. I'm super stoked about that, obviously. Coming from a TA background, to see this technical marvel on the screen sure does light a fire under my ass. And at the same time, the boys at Internet Money did us some justice and put the Axis token on the Internet Money wallet right on cue for the stream. So that was pretty badass. Shout out to them. So I'm joined tonight with KG, one of the founders I think he's the main founder, right? But he's one of the founders of Internet Money wallet protocol. And, you guys might have seen us before talking a little bit about philosophizing about the world that we live in, trying to uncover unravel the mysteries of life and secrets of the universe. But that's just our side job. Usually we're out building on the blockchain, which we think is the new financial frontier. So I'm joined tonight by brother KG. I'm bringing you on stage, man. Glad to have you. Connection's a little whack, bro. What the hell? You forgot to tell the wife to turn the Netflix off.
No, my mic was muted. Sorry about that. All me, my bad. Hey, thanks for having me on, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah, of course.
Great.
How you been, man? What's
doing
new?
amazing today?
You guys got a lot of stuff launched in the last, I think it's been, the Internet Money's been out for almost 2 months now, right? It's been a while. You guys have been rocking it.
The wallet. Oh man, we launched the wallet first. Its very first launch was November of 22. So we've been
on the ETH side.
The whole wallet itself. Actually, the very first part of the project launched in November of 21. So we're going on almost 2 years being a live product in some capacity on the market. Yeah, Binance was our first home, actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's news to me. Contrary to popular belief, I don't know everything about everyone what people got going on.
You don't, bro. I'm disappointed.
I try my best. I got grilled by Walrus last time I had him on, because I was hadn't tried out liquid loans on testnet. I'm like, dude, I read charts, bro. I don't have time to play with every protocol. But sure. I will say, hey, I downloaded the Internet Money wallet and I played around on there a little bit. It's smooth, and there's a lot of helpful tips for people getting into crypto. So I thought that was pretty cool too. You guys are very thoughtful to make that seamless experience to help onboard the next 100,000 people. So I appreciate that big time, and I notice it.
Thank you. Yeah, that's one thing that we're trying to be really good at. And, just like everything, it's iterative, but we want there to be a little extra education, a little extra hand-holding for the people that need it. If you don't need it, skip right through it. Who cares? But for the people that do need it, it's there. And I think that's something a lot of wallets are missing is I think they assume that everybody knows exactly what's going on when they download. And that's not the case. I mean, sure, there's some wallets out there that are definitely they have more advanced features than we have. Not that we won't ever get there, but that's not where we focused first. We wanted to focus on making the experience clean and user-friendly, whether you are an expert or whether you are a day one.
Yeah. I mean, just thinking about that topic more broadly, there's this big divergence between crypto users and the rest of the world. And I think it's pretty clear that even within crypto itself, there's the experts that pretty much run everything in terms of just in terms of trading, the 90% lose and the 10% win, right? But you could extrapolate that to just even finding edge in the market, every single new protocol that launches and getting an edge on that early. Like the guys that are thinking like that are the ones that are like not that interested or care about the simple things, like how do we bring regular folks into crypto and help them understand this stuff and give them a space to breathe, so it's not so like cutthroat. Like there is a world where people can get into crypto and they don't have to be experts at it. They don't even have to be regular crypto folks. Get a wallet downloaded, such as the Internet Money Wallet. You know, work their way through that and just sit on like a little bag of crypto. And then if you
Mm-hmm.
know they look back on it 3 or 4 years later, and it might be worth something more. And that's all that the world really needs, is to get some sort of long term value out of it. But if they don't know where to start, then we're just back to where we started, where we were having to run command prompts in order to interact with the blockchain, right?
Right.
So the friction is gonna get resolved. You guys are some of the guys spearheading a lot of that. That's awesome, and I think that that's important. And I think what I would like to talk about first would be kind of like the different coins that you guys have and like what their tokenomics are. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try to just listen to that and just try to analyze it, maybe try to poke holes in it, try to find out where the value's at, and just kind of go from there.
Sure. So I agree with your philosophy. The friction is a huge reason why crypto isn't reaching that mainstream adoption. Because, like, my mom, for example, she's interested in crypto, but she's like, it's too over her head, right? So, honestly, my mom is a great use case for if we're doing things right. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, mom, did that make sense to you, what we just did? So, I hear you on that. And as far as the tokens, so we're actually a 3 token ecosystem. And the core of all of those tokens is the wallet itself. Now, the most innovative token that we do have is Time Dividend, or the ticker is Time. And the reason why Time is so special is because no other crypto exists like it. And yeah, that's not just a marketing pitch. That's an open challenge to people out there to try to prove me wrong. I have yet to find anything that is like it that exists. So new, actually, that we are working on creating an EIP for, on Ethereum, because it's that new. No one else is doing it. So within the wallet, we have an in-app swap feature, like MetaMask, like Trust Wallet. We charge a fee for that service, like other wallet providers that provide that service.
Mm-hmm.
Couple differences. Difference one is it's less expensive. Trust Wallet is 0.875, or sorry, MetaMask is 0.875%. Trust Wallet is 1%. We're 0.729%. So we're less expensive than the competitors. Number
Mm-hmm.
two, they charge you the fee in the form of the token or coin that you're swapping out of. They just
Mm-hmm.
reduce it from that trade.
Similar to Uniswap swaps, similar to that.
Correct. Exactly. With us, the user pays that fee in the form of the native coin. So if you're swapping on Pulse Chain, the fee is paid in Pulse. If you're swapping on Ethereum and ETH, Binance, BNB, so on. Difference number three, they keep 100% of that fee. 100% of our fee is distributed to the holders of Time.
Mm-hmm.
So by holding Time, you earn passive income in Pulse, ETH, and BNB. And it's beautiful because Time does not inflate. It starts with a fixed supply of 2 billion. It actually has a buy and burn, which we can get into. So it only deflates. And there's no staking. There's no delegating. There's no locking up at all. Time is liquid 100%. There's no, so you can move it at all times. The dividends are equitably distributed based on your percentage of the Time holding. So if you have 1% of the supply, you're earning 1% of the revenue on that chain. And you can claim it as frequently as every block. You can hold it for 100 years or you can hold it for 1 second. It doesn't matter. And
There's a
so,
claim. So there's a claim to getting Time. You have to claim it.
no, so Time itself, you just
Yep.
buy it.
Yep.
But as your Pulse dividends, for example,
Oh, I
are
got you.
accruing, you
Yep.
have to claim those dividends,
Yep.
which is kind of cool if, from a taxation standpoint,
Sure.
because, well, you don't realize those gains yet until they're
Yep.
claimed.
Yep. Cool. Question about the token supply for Time.
Mhm.
Was it one of those things that was you said 2 billion?
Yep.
So was the 2 billion minted and then put into a liquidity pool, or was it minted and distributed in some way, or like what's that look like on the distribution?
So we actually had 2 different sacrifice rounds. The first sacrifice was for time on Pulse Chain, and the second sacrifice was for time on Ethereum Binance. And this is actually where we introduced a second token in our ecosystem called Future, or it's Future Time Dividend. And so you were airdrop Future as a part of the sacrifice. And as we airdrop time as we launch time on future EVM chains, so like Polygon is actually up next. We're gearing up to launch time over there. The future holders get a 1-to-1 airdrop of time on the new chain. So
Gotcha.
it's basically like we tokenized the sacrifice set, so to speak.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Interesting. Cool. Huh. Okay. Yeah, definitely first order of business for me looking into like that would be what's the price of time today? And I would look at the top sellers, I would look at the top holders, and I would dig in and I would see how can I get a lion's share of that supply early, because if that's basically gets the privilege of experiencing the most price appreciation on that one, and at the same time you're amassing these huge rewards in terms of the native coin. So I think it's in the early days of this is like key, right? That you want to get a huge amount of the supply and hopefully not give it up. But at some point the price is going to be so juicy that early holders will sell some off. But smart ones aren't going to sell off their time, because it'll end up being this like store of value with the cap supply, 100%. And especially if the protocol gets massive adoption, where the fees are paying out so good, there'd be no incentive. It'd be like its own little miner, right? There'd be no incentive to sell at some point, because you could just sell the native asset then potentially. And
Exactly. And that's actually one, I think you'd really appreciate the price chart. We've established we've had a leg up, and we've established a really good floor, which is nice and solid. But one interesting thing about time, which you just touched on, is, yeah, of course, price matters if you want to enter or exit your position, but price is kind of an ancillary benefit, because you're effectively DCAing into your position as you realize those dividends. So, and one additional bonus is, yes, it started at 2 billion, but it does have a buy and burn mechanic in it. So actually the supply reduces, and as the supply reduces, your position in relation to the remaining supply increases. So even if you like started at 1%, as the supply reduces, your 1% is actually growing.
yeah, this price chart's already pretty scary. So I mean, I'm gonna help you out here. One thing that I would do first, if I'm just analyzing this chart, just from a technicals angle.
Oh, is that the V1 chart?
Yep, I only chose the V1 chart because I wanted the full price history. It has 9 more days of data. Well, let's see, if you get rid of the first 9 days, you probably start somewhere down in here, right?
Yeah, and the problem with using I understand why you do that, but the problem using this is in the very first like 9 days, there was less than $1,000 in liquidity.
Yep, and so that's something good to like make sure that the viewers understand, is like really all that matters is like from the base here, because that's where a lot of the volatility from the low liquidity early days of Pulse Chain, it's all in the past at this point. So understand that the real price chart really only starts like somewhere in here, basically.
Exactly. Yep.
But with that in mind, like I just like to see where we could go, like potentially, but yeah, so this is forming like this massive parabola, and part of this would be like part of the reason why something like this can happen on like a fixed cap supply is because there's just probably limited sellers and consolidation into smart money that wants to absorb all of the asset on the lows, and that's why you're getting this nice price curve here. So we could actually like take a dip further in and just check out the blockchain itself and see that there's about 2,500 addresses, I believe, holding the token. And it seems to be relatively well distributed. I bet you could go through and find there's some of these wallets are connected, but in general, like I'm seeing like 7%, 7%, 7%.
Well, in that vault there, that's actually Fux.
This one here.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's
so this is an LP
liquidity.
pool.
Yep.
And then I'm sure that there's let's see here. Yeah, so this is actually pretty well distributed already. I mean, I want to see what like these top holders are sitting on. 59 million. Not bad. Not bad at all. What do we got for liquidity? So that's like 90. So like these top holders are sitting on like anywhere from
Well,
like,
well,
yeah.
the V2 pool has like 80K in it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So let's pull up to the V2 pool since that's what's most relevant.
Yeah, V2 and Fux. I think Fux actually has even more liquidity than the V2 pool does as well.
That name gets me every time, dude.
Of course, of course.
So I was actually looking at it. So you can see here that I have a drawing on here. I was looking at it back here
Dang.
when we formed this.
Ooh,
it
nice
was like
call.
foreman structure.
Nice
Well,
call.
Yeah, and then yeah. So we got. Looks like there was enough liquidity. Like man, so it's a one-way train, guys. Without saying too much already. So long, these early guys that have 50K, 100K of this stuff at these prices, they might slowly seep out some of their coin at like a doubling or tripling. Let's see, what is this from low to high? 276% for anywhere from a 3 to 4x returns. Obviously, those were juicy enough returns that market makers can like get rid of some supply at the top and then capture other people's capitulated supply at the bottom. This was a little bit unique in that this was the SEC FUD, right?
Exactly. Yes, that was yes, exactly.
So you can actually see in here like there was an attempt for the market makers to protect price in here, and it was just, and they even came in here and helped, try to get it back up. But to me, that's all. This is all positive things. More than anything, I just like that this is creating this nice curve down here, and yeah, I think maybe if my intuition serves me well here, that this thing is going to just start to rise because of the payouts, and hopefully the dream would be that the rewards are paying enough from the fees and from the users that are coming in and using the protocol is just enough to keep these holders holding and not selling. And yeah, this is very interesting to me. I don't know if there's anything that you wanted to comment. You probably can't comment too much from a technicals being a founder, but just from a tokenomics angle, it's looking pretty good already.
Well, and let me throw in a couple other juicy consideration points, right? So right now, 100% of the dividends that are generated and distributed are only from in-app swaps. But the way that time is constructed is it can receive revenue from anywhere. So as we continue to launch things like in-app bridging, NFTs, we will continue to build out multiple revenue sources that pay to time. Same thing, if anybody's out there and you're a new crypto project and you want to access an existing user base, you can point some of your revenue to time as well and, piggyback off of our user base. So even though there's only one revenue stream now, there's going to become multiple. Now, I want you to go to another site just to, another little, because you like nuance. So go to app.internetmoney.io. So this is our buy and burn DApp here. And what's interesting about this is the way the buy and burn works is it uses time to fuel itself. So if you go down to the bottom, so for instance, in this one buy and burn, there's 18 million time sitting in there right now. If you go up to the top, you could change the asset. So actually we have a buy and burn for Hex as well. But you click on IM, for example, or Hex, it doesn't matter, whatever. You scroll down, there's another 15 million time. So there's like 60 million time in these buy and burn contracts right now too. So it shows that in the way these work, people don't lock
from
it.
Fees.
Yes, because the buy and burn contracts are holders, right? Holders. So they just earn dividends like everybody else.
Gotcha.
Yep. And so these are all public call functions. The contract is immutable with no admin keys. So it's completely community propelled. So this is bullish because the community was willing to deposit 15 million of their own time into this contract.
Mm-hmm.
So just
yeah,
little
and
nuance.
think about that. Like this could end up being one of those situations where, like, let's say a benevolent whale acquired 30% of the supply.
Mm-hmm.
they could then put more into the buy and burn to show a sign of good faith, and then the buy and burn would continue to function at a faster rate,
Exactly.
thus accelerating price appreciation so long as demand stays equal or better.
Exactly.
And I did want to bring up now, since we're on the topic of the buy and burn, let's, specifically about the fee structure. Let's talk about how much money so go back a few months, I think back to May, we had a little exchange on Twitter publicly about like how I believe it was, or maybe you were on a live stream and you were talking about how much money MetaMask makes in a day. So maybe you could throw out some figures for like on a certain daily volume or weekly volume, what MetaMask is making with what kind of user rate,
So
and then how that relates to Internet Money's fees and what it could be.
So the thing with MetaMask is they don't provide data, right? All the data you can get from them, you have to extract from other people who have taken the time to aggregate that stuff. So our best estimates for what MetaMask from their in-app swap feature only, that's the only thing that was generating the revenue. It was on average $95,000 to $2 million a day is the revenue that MetaMask generates from their in-app swap.
It's crazy.
Now, that is after being 6 to 7 years on the market, or maybe 8 years at this point. And again, the active users is a hard stat to derive because MetaMask doesn't verify their contracts on chain, so you
Sure.
can't see who's interacting with them. But also, like on the Chrome store, for example, they have 10 million plus downloads, but is that 10 million active users? No, it's not. So, I mean, best estimates there are maybe a few 100,000, couple 100,000 active users that are using that protocol on a daily basis are generating that. So, I mean, that is a real life, real world thing that is happening, and that's the market we're in. So the crazy thing is like, okay, let's say that we never overtake MetaMask. We're always number 2, number 3, number 4. Even 10% of that $9,000 to $20,000 a day of protocol fees. I mean, that's like baby achievements to even get there. So the numbers for this having a realistic and reasonable profitable return, they're there, they're practical. Now, yes, okay, I am the founder. You could call me biased, and I am, of course, but you do the numbers, not just you, but anybody listening, do the numbers yourself and compare percentages and the amount of the supply that you would need in your own mind to think that, hey, I would need to make X amount of dollars a day to be reasonable.
Do we have like a web page or somewhere where we can go and see the daily volume and stuff like that?
For us,
Yeah.
not yet. We know it's important and it's coming soon.
Okay. So
Yep.
that's like my man. I'm a data nerd.
I
I'm a
know.
wizard like that.
I know.
To have like a page where you can like point people to like, hey, look at how much volume we're doing. Now figure out and maybe even have a calculator in there that could say, all right, I need this much time to get this much dollar payout at this price. So I can because a lot of these nerds, they're going to want to know like what they need. And if there's a calculator that makes that process easier, and then just to know like how many wallets are interacting with the on a per day basis or weekly basis, and what kind of trends can I see in the data to say, okay, these are the kinds of things that was happening on Pulse Chain, for example, in terms of transaction activity during this time frame. This is how Internet Money benefited from it. Like this is when things were hot, Pulse was in a bull market, Internet Money got a 300% increase in volume, like 3,000 new users.
Exactly.
Payouts were insane, and to have all that in a front end would be amazing.
Completely agreed. And what we want to do too, everything you just said, and then adding one step further, is create a new type of price chart. But the price chart is based on daily dividends generated. So you're going to be able to see these same type of trends in chart format. And that's all coming soon. We're right on the cusp of getting this V1 out. V1. We've been in beta for almost a year. And so we're just like laser focused on getting that out. And once we're in V1 is when we're really going to start to nerd out on all the stats, because we agree it's very important, absolutely critical.
Awesome. Yeah, dude, that sounds great. Shoot. So that covers 2 of the tokens. Isn't there a third token we were talking about?
There is a third token, and it's actually Internet Money, or IM itself. That was our very first token. We launched that on Binance November of 2021. And that's been an interesting journey, because that's what started the community building on this whole thing. And if you just do IM, maybe. Actually, if you go to we just launched the new website, so you can get the contract address from there. New website's great.
Where should I look at it? You tell me. Pulse
Go
chain
to,
or
well,
Binance.
yeah, is that Pancake Swap? You have IM Wrap BNB. That is the very first price chart that we ever had in our ecosystem. And this is when you're going to see KG learning about liquidity if you go back to the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
put it on log.
Yeah, that you're going to see that KG, that's what that is right there. That's the KG learning about liquidity candle.
Yeah. Well, and that's, dude, okay. Not to get to take away all the spotlight from internet money right now, but
Sure.
This is a super good segue into liquidity providing, how important it is if you're in cryptocurrency, specifically in DeFi, and you're using the blockchain to transact, make money, find yield, liquidity provide, swap. It doesn't matter. Understanding liquidity and its functions is the number one most important skill you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you know liquidity, the price chart is less important. Would you agree?
I would, because if you go off of log and you scroll out, people are going to say, "Oh, that's forever down coin." But what they don't realize is that was like $50 in liquidity. So it's like, it's not real, because a $10 buy or sell is why you see this stuff, right? Because this was the first liquidity pool that I ever created from scratch, like, and so I was just like, okay, let me add $10, $50, whatever it was, just to start it. And then I think an R bot got a hold of it or something and just pump the price, dump the price real quick. And so at the bottom of that candle is when we were like, oh, we actually need to start building this liquidity pool. And that's where the learning came in. So, I agree that liquidity is very important. And it's also, for an asset you believe in, it's a better way to DCA out and not hurt the asset.
Oh, dude, you're speaking to my soul right now. That is like one of the most important things that I'm trying to explain to the Hexicans and to the RH Maxi group, because like if the OGs can understand the liquidity concept, it's going to make this bull run that much better.
Sure. Because you're selling. If you provide liquidity and the price is going up, you're selling. But you're just doing it in a way that's strengthening the ecosystem rather than putting a red candle on the chart.
Yes, and there's tons of nuance to it. So, for example, if let's say price is down here and there's a certain amount of liquidity in the pools, and you're the one setting the floor down here with whatever amount of liquidity, it doesn't matter, but you're pooling wrapped BNB. So think of it like this: wrapped BNB down here, the native, versus IM, and we'll put, and just for the sake of this explanation, we'll put IM up here. Well, why? Because down here it's going to cost you a lot less wrapped BNB to pair it to internet money than it is up here, where it's going to cost you a lot more wrapped BNB up here, right? And so the way that you could play this is, if you're looking at this chart and you know that you're getting bullish on this asset, you can add your liquidity here, right? And from a technicals, and then as this price chart goes up and hits certain levels, you can pull off bits of your liquidity position, thus effectively taking profit, but you're not affecting the price chart. Now, the downside to that is, like, let's say you get up to here and you pull, and you're the only liquidity provider, and you pull 80% of your liquidity. Well, that means that this whole entire pool is only being supported by 20% of what was existing there before. And so if one of these other players decides to come in and sell some coins, it's going to make the price slip a lot harder to the downside. And that's probably what happened here was, or potentially, it doesn't have to have happened this way, but potentially what happened was liquidity got thinner, or the price got so expensive up here that the people that sold were able to affect the chart to a much bigger degree. And so inside of this whole thing, I see a trade where you can make people that are weak hands eat more slippage, and then you're able to come back in and support the price with less ammunition. because they slipped down. You bought the coins back cheaper. Then you help. You could push the price back up on with slippage back the other way. Re-add coins in as support, or potentially just continue to buy the dip with less and less ammo. And as long as you're letting the chart come back to you as a market maker, you're still in a position of strength, which is probably why this had a second leg. I'm thinking second and a third leg and a fourth leg. So yeah, it's just interesting. Like you can sort of get an idea of what happened, but you won't know for certain. This was actually probably a unique time. I don't know what time was that in history.
So
January.
that right there, we airdropped holders of internet money on BSC. We airdropped them internet money on Ethereum. And so actually, if you pull up the IM on Ethereum chart, where that mega red candle is a mega green candle on Ethereum. It's like the chart handed off.
You know what we need to do?
What's that?
We need to compare.
Okay.
Let's see if I can find the Ethereum one.
Yeah,
Was it paired? It was paired against Ethereum?
Yeah, wrapped ETH. If you go to the website, you can pull the contract addresses, internetmoney.io/IM.
All right, where are we at?
Scroll down a little bit.
Oh, perfect.
Yep, right there.
All right, let me do some magic.
Bring it to us, young wizard.
Maybe. Huh? This particular pair that I pulled up was a later pair, I think.
Oh. I've never done this exercise before.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know why, but these pairs that I'm pulling up on IM WETH, they didn't start till 30th of May, but we're looking for data from February 2nd, I think.
Yeah, let's.
So it's possible that there was another pair, is all I'm saying.
That is possible.
Which wouldn't show up in this list anymore because inactive pairs, like, they fade away. They won't show up.
That may actually be what it is, because there may have been no trading volume on IM on ETH today.
Yep, that's usually what happens.
Yeah, it's 24
Anyways,
hours.
It's cool.
Yep.
It's cool to know that you can see. So basically, what KG's saying is that you airdropped to ETH, and so people kind of, for lack of a better term, abandoned this chain and sent it on the other chain, right?
They migrated because people were really bullish on ETH, and then actually when we launched, so when Pulse Chain launched, we did not honor the system state copy to Ethereum, because that's a whole nother long story. But we relaunched over there, so then on the ETH chart you see kind of the same baton holding. So people that held on BSC ultimately ended up with two airdrops. They got an airdrop on Ethereum and an airdrop on Pulse Chain. So looking at all three charts, you're able to see the interactions of each other, which is really cool.
Yeah,
because that chart is 2 years old almost, which is, it's cool to say that we've been around for that long.
I just want to see the Pulse Chain chart now.
Mm-hmm. There is two, so make sure you use the contract address.
Which one should I use, the V1 or the V2?
I think the V1 has a little more liquidity, right? Yeah.
This one looks a little better, huh?
Yep.
So I've been watching this too. Apparently, I had this ascending broadening wedge, grinding against consolidating under resistance here, and then just the spill, right? So, and actually, this is cool because you can see the structure started here. You try to get a bounce, and then this was the SEC FUD. This could have just had a continuation potentially from here, but yeah. And then and then the same thing in reverse. You had this is a bullish structure. Usually these break out like this and continue, but instead it was just more of like a delayed, trying to get the engine started again type of thing. And then here we are. Engine's been started. Someone's trying to inject in some strength, some profit taking, doubling back down. And now this is creating floor prices. Now, I don't know what the tokenomics of this one looks like, but it looks like it's recovered. And this is promising for internet money on this particular chart, is that the market makers are trying to protect the not the SAC level, the SEC breakdown level. So that's
Mm-hmm.
cool to see.
Yeah, the interesting thing about IM is we created that, and the way that we've branded it is our payment token, right? Because as a wallet, you're inevitably going to be making partnerships with dApps, websites that want to transact for goods and services in the form of crypto. And so itself doesn't really have tokenomics like time. It does have the buy and burn that you saw, but really it's mostly just speculation that, hey, we do get it adopted for goods and services. But the interesting thing about this is in the beginning, we did have a team allocation, and we are the biggest liquidity provider on all three chains, and we burned our entire team allocation of IM, and we also burned all the LP tokens. So what's out there in existence, the team, if we own any, we bought it. We received none from the mint, and there was no sacrifice for this ever. We just created this, and all the liquidity we can never remove. It's not even it's forever locked basically. So it is just its own decentralized entity out there moving and operating as the market wants it to.
That's good for a currency. You need to let the free
Mhm.
market
Mhm.
kind of toy with it and play with it at that rate.
Exactly.
cool.
So it's also cool for our perspective because if we do come in here and speculate, well, we're players in the game. So if we get wrecked, well, it's whatever. We have the same risk as everybody participating in this particular system.
Cool.
Yep.
Man, that's cool. I'm particularly fond of the time tokenomics.
Me too. That's the flagship. That is our baby.
100%.
Yeah.
Because I think the what excites me the most is the knowing what MetaMask does for volume,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that if Internet Money Wallet gets any amount of traction in the real world, who knows if you guys, first of all, the branding is perfect. I think the Internet Money ticker name, the name more than anything, like that's so like it's culture, man. It's just like
Exactly.
it's memeable, it's culture, it's like in crypto knows it, but no one ever used it for a coin before. So I think that was like really effective. And look, dude, my goal would be for you to push this as far as you could go and try to get this in a banking app somewhere. Like try to get it so it's like out there for regular everyday people. I know it's a big ask, but like imagine a world where internet money is tied in with like Chase Bank or like
Exactly.
some other banking app. Like you guys get a piece of that, you guys get royalties, but it's not you guys, it's the freaking users that are going to make royalties on those transactions, right? So to find your in somewhere with some legacy TradFi or just, grow it within crypto on your own. And there's 100 ways that you could go about this. So yeah, I'm excited for you guys. And like I said, just from a tokenomics and just looking at the blockchain a little bit, this one here has got the most interest in terms of like potential price appreciation.
So let me throw a deep philosophical idea at you that I see as the long-term vision of time. So I think you're the perfect guy to present this to. So with time, we created the first decentralized company. Now, what does that mean? Not that Don and I, my partner, we're not the company. The time token itself, the contract, the immutable no admin key smart contract is the company. And because anybody can buy shares, the time token, of that company, and anybody can point revenue to that company, as this network builds out of other protocols, other projects, other revenue sources going into there, the wallet could completely go down, and the other entities that are participating in the decentralized company can continue to prop it up. So as this grows, as this gets adoption, there is going to be less centralized failure points of the passive income generation. And the time becomes the decentralized stock that has no one entity that controls it or says what it does. And I think that is for like, because so much of crypto is this 3 day to 3 month mentality, but time has longevity. it can only be expanded upon. There is no end of its story. It grows and it continues to grow. Yeah, that's what it does. It grows.
How many sacrifices were there?
In the first sacrifice, I believe like 15 or 1200, and in the second sacrifice there was 700, maybe 800. And
How many of them had like, because that initial distribution is such a key factor for both price positive more than anything, like early on, like I'm wondering like how much of that would you say was like a majority of it? Like, was it 100 people? Was it 50 people that had the majority of the sacrifice phase? Would you say? It's a hard question to answer because it's going to be kind of subjective, not giving you like a fixed number. Yeah, but just off the top of your head.
Well, I can say this. Our biggest sacrificer participated in the second sacrifice, and they came in for about 305K. And then following that, the second biggest sacker was 150K in the first sacrifice. And then following that was like 108K or something. And that was it. Those were the only six-figure guys or girls. Beyond that, it was, I think the next biggest one may have been 50 and so on. So our sacrifice, only 2.4 million across both sacrifices was generated. So there wasn't like, and actually on, okay, and one difference with our sacrifice, we were the first sacrifice to introduce the capped model. So we had in the very beginning, we said, hey, only 1.2 million, that's the cap, we're done. The community actually demanded that we opened up, a second layer of that. So then we introduced this pool A, pool B model. Now on Pulse Chain, in both sacrifices, whatever was not hit in that cap, we as the team kept. Now people could say, oh, team allocation bad. Well, we're building a financial product. This isn't a smart contract that's set it and forget it. We're on 3 app stores. There's servers, there's front end, there's back end, there's UI, there's multiple contracts continuing to be launched to support this thing. So we are a business in that sense that we have to keep the wallet alive. There's attorney costs in getting your app on the app store. So we have to make money. So there was always a team allocation openly disclosed that we would keep. Now, and I'll continue, but one point is it's different because we don't have to dump time token. Actually, we're incentivized to not dump time token because we want the revenue, because that's how we're going to have a business that funds itself, that propels itself, is by holding and earning revenue, which is amazing because all these other, not all these, but most other tokens, the team supply means they dump on you. That's what it means. So as far as that, with that said, on Pulse Chain, when the sacrifice ended, we retained about 20% of the supply. But on Ethereum and Binance, we had a much larger cap because that second sacrifice was for every future EVM chain, right? Because of the future token. So we retained more like 65, 70% of that supply. So we are a bigger holder on non-Pulse chains.
Gotcha. Well, a lot of people have differing views on what's right and what's wrong, like morally. And this is kind of like what you and I talk about a lot of times, is like what's morally or ethically right, or what's the right thing to do. And I'm more of the camp of like economic centralization is really, really good for business. Like the most centralized coins will perform the best. So like, because as a token, as a token founder, having an allocation of 20% on Pulse Chain, you actually have to play your cards extra carefully, because there may be an instance where you need to come in and absorb a nefarious sacrificer that's okay with a 4x. This is the reality of crypto, is like when the wild gets large chunks of your supply, it can be one of those instances where you have to anticipate the worst case. And so that means that those sacrifice funds that you guys saved from doing it originally, like those have to go a lot longer and a lot farther than most people think. It's not like you can just go out, buy the Lambo and like be done. Like, because if you really want something to succeed from the ground up, you need to be there prepped for worst case scenarios. And that means that you don't need to have savings. And I think a lot of people, that goes over people's heads. And then like, I recently launched a token. This is a good segue into that, where like my thesis is like what's most important is supply and demand and supply distribution. And because I've been so stringent on the tokenomics, that's what's created the price chart. And like our price chart's like insane. It's like the axisALiVE price chart might be the best price chart on Pulse Chain. And it will continue to be that because one, I'm a TA guy and I understand liquidity and I understand supply and demand and I understand the user base. I know who my users are. I know that it's very, very scarce. And that very, very scarce market supply is what's going to create tremendous price appreciation. So if I can be of any help to you, I can say that from where you're sitting right now on the Pulse Chain side of things, you know this as well as I do, that we have to be very careful about how we move forward and prepare for the worst, but have hopes of the best from your users.
Agreed. And the interesting thing that is unique to us is, okay, so let's say some sacrificer comes in and mega dumps. Well, if we as a team want to get more of our revenue back, that's actually a buying opportunity for us to increase our position again to earn back more of our revenue. And that's, on the other chains where we hold more, the reason why that is okay is because, like, look at early companies, right? They hold more of their stock and then they slowly release their stock as the company itself generates more revenue for them to allow to let go of their stock. So using that analogy, SEC, if you're watching, I'm using air quotes because this is all a metaphor and an analogy. That analogy carries really well to this situation. Because if, let's say let's just pretend we dumped all of it. Well, that means you get the decentralized company analogy that I explained earlier. You get to pick up that stock for way less. So there's a lot less risk in that respect. And there's risk in everything. Okay. There's risk in this, there's risk in every project. But what I mean is, because the value isn't 100% derived from can I buy, can I sell, there is revenue value. You have another layer of income that has to be considered along with the price.
100%. And what the magic element to that is that it's paid in the native token, which is Pulse or ETH or BNB. Like,
and that's go.
Yeah, that's what makes this so. Like, you cannot the only thing that I can see as being the piece that breaks it is if people stopped using an internet money wallet completely, which there's always going to be a core user base that is the holders of time that's at least going to use it to generate fees on their own.
Exactly.
At a bare minimum. And if someone's silly enough to unload on their initial core distribution, especially if the metrics are looking good and you're getting increases in users, like, you're giving away the golden goose in a lot of ways.
It's 100% true. And it's okay. So you just saw on Pulse Chain, there's 2,500 users. Okay. Let's even say 500 of those are like our bots that are in the game. Okay. Well, we'll be generous and say that. That's still 2,000 people that are going to go out and tell their family and friends when they make tutorials, them as an influencer, they're going to onboard into internet money because they know even if they don't buy time, that's another beautiful thing. The pitch as a time holder isn't buy my token. It's use this wallet to buy your token. That's how I get paid. That's how everybody gets paid. And actually, if it's cool with you, I want to add a bullish thing about the wallet here. So right now in the wallet, if you let's use Pulse Chain because that's I assume that's a majority of our audience here. On Pulse Chain right now, if you swap within the wallet, you are going to see PulseX V1 and PulseX V2 as your available liquidity sources. Now, what we're working on right now and is going to be out very soon, hopefully within the next 2 to 3 weeks, is we have on the back end, we finished Uni V3 support, we finished Balancer V2 support, and we finished Fux support. So on Pulse Chain, you're also going to see a Uni V3 swap front end in the wallet for the forked over Uni V3 liquidity. And you're also going to see Fux support within the wallet. Now, also, we are in the process of, Pateus, look at that. So that's actually what we're working on as well. Pateus is going to be an additional liquidity source in the wallet. So when you go, let's say you want to swap from Pulse to Axis, you're going to see a simultaneous quote of Pulse X V1, V2, Uni V3, maybe forked over Uni V2, Sushi, Pateus, and Fux, all right there. And you get to say that you get to see all the tokens they're going to yield you.
Yeah.
And you get to pick the most.
Oh, that's cool. So it gives you like a routes and it tells you what the yields are going to be. That's pretty crazy.
It shows, yeah. And so what we do is at the top of the list, we put recommended option for the option that yields you the most tokens. So, hey, maybe it's Pateus every single time. But hey, maybe for this one particular trade, for some reason, maybe you get a better rate on this forked over Uni V2. Who knows? But that's the thing is you don't know because A, there's not front ends to check all this stuff. But B, by the time you go from point A to point B, the quotes have already changed. So in the Internet Money wallet, one swap quote is going to show you all available dexes. And as 9-inch comes out and 9mm comes out, those are going to be added as well. It's going to be the place to check all quotes at the same exact time and execute right there if you choose to.
Check out this comment.
Skip to the NKG and just take over all the wallets so I don't have to think about and create 1,000. You got it.
Here's another comment question.
I would love to see Internet Money as accessible. Okay. So what's going on here is MetaMask is the most widely supported wallet in the DApp world because it just is what it is. Now, what we do is we use Wallet Connect. And so some people will say, oh, my Internet Money wallet doesn't work with this DApp. Now, that's not an issue with Internet Money. So what happened was Wallet Connect, the software, the company, the team, they had a V1, upgraded to V2. They turned off V1. V1 no longer works. So if the DApp is not on Wallet Connect V2, it's not going to work with the Internet Money wallet, which is unfortunate because it kind of screwed a lot. Not just Internet Money wallet, it's all wallets that aren't MetaMask practically. So if your DApp is not working, go to the team, ask them to upgrade to V2. Have patience. It's a major upgrade. So kudos and appreciation to all the teams doing that. And we are going to work on a way to piggyback off of the way that MetaMask is supported, but not yet.
I mean, it's all coming, right? You got plenty to build. There's always more to do. Like, I feel the same every day. I'm
Never is.
With the website, like, and just like, there's so many good ideas and not enough time or resources or people to build it all.
Absolutely.
So that's a good problem to have.
I'd rather be in that camp than the other camp, but it's like, man, with the wallet, like that's something else that I really like to iterate is that this isn't just a set it and forget it smart contract at ERC20. We're on 3 app stores. And it's even if like in the back, we get it perfected on one device, the moment we push it into the public, somebody in East Asia on an iPhone SE using some weird Wi-Fi on iOS 9 is having their own bug. And so it's like, it's so quirky all the time. And so we're just constantly iterating. And this is a living, breathing product. It will never stop iterating on it ever. It's impossible to, because it always has to be kept up to speed. So.
Well, dude, I appreciate you building on Pulse Chain. It
Dude,
brings value.
I think so, and we are, in terms of Pulse Chain, we are the easiest way to onboard into Pulse Chain, right? We're a native Pulse Chain wallet. Pulse Chain is preloaded. We are working on adding more and more of all the Pulse Chain tokens. There's already 30 Pulse Chain tokens preloaded in there. And if you have a project out there, send us your token. We want to support everybody. We have price tracking for all Pulse Chain assets, period. All Pulse Chain assets. Actually, every EVM chain that's supported by Dex Screener, all 72 chains, every single token that's on Dex Screener has a price in the Internet Money wallet.
Dude, that was so sick, bro. Like, thank you. That was one thing that I noticed that your wallet did that the others didn't, was gave me a price when you just today you put axisALiVE on the wallet and it gave me a price. Like, that's sick.
Dude, I'm glad you appreciated that. That's so important, right? And you're talking to the guy who could put your logo there. Like, good luck trying to communicate with MetaMask.
Right. So
there you go.
Here we go. This is the image here. You can see that sitting inside of this wallet. This is the mobile version. You can see here that he's got some pulse, some time, some access, and you're getting price feeds for all of it.
Yep.
So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, thanks. And soon, you know, you'll be able to hit. I mean, you can now, but soon you'll be able to hit that swap button in more than just PulseX and V1. You'll see all that liquidity, so you could get the best price on Pulse Chain on it for Axis.
Yeah, this is like a huge thing that we need for sure. Because like so by you guys improving the swap function, you're going to get tremendously more revenue, right? In-app swaps are key, and if you can implement the best routes, game over.
Well, here's the beautiful thing. Okay, so like Mateus, for example, they do great routes on most trades. The thing about them is they have the burden of having the routing logic. We just have to go to the dexes. We just have to go to the Mateus. You see? So we get to piggyback and give all the best based off of everybody else who's specializing in finding the best.
Mm-hmm. Dude, so that kind of makes it upgrades a little bit easier to implement, probably, or when new protocols and new DEX aggregators come online, you know, as your team builds out, potentially you guys can keep adding things quicker and quicker as it grows, right?
Exactly. So if we see another team that comes out, so we actually we're working on coining a term. So, you know, we are technically a DEX aggregator, and so is Mateus. Now, there's a fundamental difference in that Mateus takes one trade and splits it up across multiple dexes, right? So we've coined that term as atomic swapping. So even though we're both DEX aggregators, they have the feature of the atomic swap. So our goal is to aggregate aggregators, aggregate dexes, just become the thing that we don't like. We're not. That's the beautiful thing about our product is we're not competition to any of these things. We make all these things more accessible and easier to interact with.
You might have already mentioned this. I missed it. Does this do cross-chain swaps?
Not yet.
Is that something that's on the roadmap?
Absolutely, yeah. Bridging is, and that's also another revenue source that we're going to build out for time.
I got you. I'm starting to follow the train of thought. So, you know, dude, this guy can add cross-chain swaps. He can do, you know, you can get paid. Your time holders can get paid to do bridging. I mean, and whatever else other protocols could come out that we haven't even thought of yet. You know, it's pretty cool that it's just kind of plug and play like that.
Exactly. Like after V1, NFT integration in app is a big focus. And so we're looking at ways like, okay, so, you know, sending and receiving NFTs, that's obviously going to be free. But like, okay, we want a front end and NFT marketplace. Great. That is going to could be another revenue generation for time holders, right? All these things, like all these different valuable services. Time.
Cool. Badass. Hey, I'm going to answer this question and then we'll probably wrap up.
Okay.
So this question was, I'm going to use the axis chart to do this, guys. So the question was like, what are the most telling signs of a token being oversold or overbought? He's saying undersold, but what he's saying is overbought. So basically one of the ways that I like to do this, and it's pretty simple, you just click on indicators and type in RSI for relative strength index. And then you'll see these two panels pop up. I'm going to close out this one because it's confusing. I'll make this brighter so you can see it more clearly. So this is a 4-hour chart of Axis, and you'll see in this bottom panel this price chart going back to the beginning. Let me clear out some data. This particular chart, this little yellow line is like, if it's down, it's saying that the strength of the market is down relative to past history. And so simply put, if I maximize this out, this is overbought and this is oversold for this particular chart. Now, if you look at other charts, you're going to get different numbers on the right here on the scale. Typically in markets, a typical overbought condition is anything over 70, which is this top white dash line. So technically this would be overbought conditions. Now this particular asset has acted extremely bullish and spent way too much time in the so-called overbought zone, and it spent almost no time below the 30 level down here in the oversold zone.
So for this particular asset, you'd have to come in here and do your own analysis. Say, hey, across this entire lifespan of this whole chart on the 4-hour, times to sell is maybe when it gets above, let's say, this line right here. And this looks like it's going to give you the 87. So anytime that this yellow line hits over 87, that was typically a good time to sell. Or the converse is also true. Like maybe the good times to buy was when it went under 46, something like this. And then you'll find that as you watch different assets over time, you're going to get different key levels that are going to get hit. So like if I pull up the time chart, for example, we can look at the RSI on it.
And so does that move up? Like, even though it's 70 and 40 or 87 and 46 in relation to that current channel, does that like move up as the asset enters into new channels?
Correct. So like down here, so this is internet money on the 4-hour, and you can see that this coin is getting stronger over time. How do I know that? Because it's making higher lows on the RSI. Do you see how this was the low? Well, this was also the SEC low, and it's the speed at which it hits its low and the rate of the drop. But ever since then, it's just made higher low. It almost came down and almost tapped it, but it turned around early, signaling strength. So that means that on this sell-off, it actually caught a lot of strength. It made a higher low here than it did here. So this is creating this parabolic trend that you're getting on internet money, or this is time. It's showing up inside of this, and if the trend holds, the parabola holds, this is going to have a harder time getting down into that red line, and it's going to continue to get pushed up like this as time continues on. Now, inevitably, at some point, you're going to get a break of that level, but based on what I'm seeing here, and with the momentum that's in the internet money market, and if no initial sackers dump heavily, I mean, this thing could continue to grind upwards all the way up until like December, even into January, before it even really breaks down, perhaps going into the middle, end of December, if it just continues to hold structure. And for price, I mean, you could be seeing, you could be probably, I don't know, let's get a measured move here. Something like a test of the highs, maybe an 80% move, somewhere in here before it gets rejected off potentially a resistance at the all-time high. So maybe a big early allocation gets dumped, and then you break this RSI trend. But right now, it's in a state of extreme strength, and you'd need to see this price fall rapidly, create new lows, and create floor like lows like this to get this RSI to get weaker. And usually, what that looks like is like a pennant, where it like gets squeezed, and then breaks down on that trend that started in the red. So that's some stuff to look for in terms of overbought and oversold conditions.
Can somebody from the internet money community clip what he just went through about time? That made me so bullish right now. I hope so. Please, can someone please out there clip that? Thanks in advance.
All right, y'all. KG, thanks for coming on, man. I'm glad I got to learn more about the protocol, the wallet, what you guys are working on. I'm glad to call you a friend. And you guys, don't forget, we got another stream with KG and Scott V coming up sometime in the short-term future. Hopefully, we'll get it in October. We'll be talking about volume 2 of the philosophy, the master philosophy of universal theory of one. So I don't know if you guys caught that, but yeah, go check out that last episode. I think it was called The Universal One. It's on my channel. That was a super thought-provoking stream. And
yes,
so
it was. Great conversation.
We're excited to continue that conversation. Just keep your eyes on Twitter for any updates from the guys at Internet Money, from Brother KDG, from myself. Any last parting words before we take off?
I want to say thank you to you as a friend, and I truly mean this sincerely. I appreciate you always giving us a voice, making me a part of what you're doing, and it means a lot that there's so many things you can be talking about, and you're taking the time and your influence to talk about us. So I do appreciate that. And for any more information from anybody out there watching, internetmoney.io is the place to go. Everything else links out from there. So that's all you need to remember.
All right. Thanks a lot, man. We'll see you on the next one.
Likewise. Thanks, everybody.